Thank you for staying with me on this morning on ITV. I did say that the topic before us to discuss is on the call for generational shift. And discussing this vital topic with me from my extreme left, I have a legal practitioner, and he's known as but Comrade Cosmos Irabo, who is at the middle.
Welcome, dear.
Okay, and close to him, I have Parker Odegwa, who is also a political analyst.
God bless you. Thank you.
And next, I have Neville Obakedo, an erudite political analyst, also a scientist. Thank you for coming.
Good morning, viewers at home. Thank you for having me.
All right, quickly, first, Pastor Degwa, let's look at the issues emanating from the general public, the polity, looking at what we have here, where issues are saying, like the call for generational shift. There's this impression raised by some that the whole idea of old-time politicians being recycled in governance is becoming the bane of good governance. Do you subscribe to generational shift as a way forward?
Thank you very much. Yeah, I would say it is long overdue. Because if you look at what is happening in the political landscape of Nigeria these days, you have a lot of old school, the same old faces, recycled, tired politicians. They are still at the helm of affairs. And then you ask yourself, are things going the right way? And the question you still ask yourself is, why are they still recycling themselves? Why are they still recycling themselves? And I know it's only a foolish person that will continue to do the same thing day in, day out and expect a different result.
But is there any law, any constitutional provision to stop them from recycling themselves?
There is no constitutional, requirement, but morals, you understand? Morals, they have been there. If you discover that you don't have the power to do things, the energy is no longer there to do things, and you are running out of with the ties of time, what do? You step aside and you allow the younger generation to come in with people who have vibrancy, people who have new knowledge, who have new ideas, people who know what is happening these days, who are in tune with modern technologies. So,
okay, do you mean to say that the old-time politicians are not in tune with modern technology?
They are fact out.
What fact do you have to buttress that?
They are fact out. If you look at some of the analysis, for instance, we have a minister in this country, a city minister, for instance, who said he wants to go and import grass from Brazil. I mean, that is preposterous. You can't say you want to go and import grass from Brazil. For what? Does it mean we don't have grass here? So that is the thinking all these are old politicians they still have. All those archaic method of thinking. So we need new crop of new politicians who will reverse all these things.
Okay. And then I want your thoughts along this line, because we have the challenge of administrative ineffectiveness in the polity. We have impunity, the seemingly impunity of leaders, and the corruption. Now, do you see this as not being also exposed to the younger generation? Why the call for generational shift?
First and foremost, there is the world and the human race is arranged along generations. That is why when you look at the Bible or other religious books, you will hear of so and so generation, so and so generation. And so it also comes to leadership, the issue of generational shift. That is one generation that be prepared to lead and hand over power to the next generation. I will just give you an example before I answer the question directly. During the Russian Revolution of 1917, led by Vladimir Ilyich Lenin, there was a generation of leaders. Lenin, Trotsky, and others. They prepared the lives of Joseph Stalin, Brezhnev, Khrushchev, Konstantin Chernenko, Yuri Andropov, and other cream of leaders as generations to take over from the first generation.
Yes.
That is, there was a process of preparation, a process of initiation, a process of acculturation, a process of learning and imbibe the tenets of leadership that will be used to govern the country from generation to generation. That is that for the first Soviet Union. If you come to Republic of China, People's Republic of China, you will see that Mao Zedong, or Chairman Mao Zedong, was the first generation leader of the Chinese Revolution. He prepared other leaders to take over. As we speak, the president of China, Hu Jintao, let me arrange it the way I can easily remember.
Okay.
After Mao Zedong, the next generation of leaders was headed by Deng Xiaoping. After Deng Xiaoping, as Deng Xiaoping was preparing to leave this world, he handed over power to Premier Zhao Zinyang. The leadership was arranged.
Okay, so there was generational shift.
Yes.
Noticed.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it was well arranged.
Okay.
If you look at what happened in Cuba recently,
and it
from Castro to Castro.
it favored their various polities.
Yes, it favored their policies. That is to say, they prepare for generations. Are you getting it?
Yes.
So when you talk about generational shift in Nigeria, it is very easy to say generational shift in Nigeria. But in the next foreseeable future, that will not happen unless the generation that want to get power, they will come out and say, you, this older generation, you have outlived your usefulness. It is now our turn.
Okay, by implication, are you saying that the polity as we speak is not ready for that generational shift?
Yes, the politics is not ready for generational shift. I will give you some instances.
But there's a call already. And we are looking at the possibility of having these being enlisted as candidates in political parties.
No, nobody is saying we should not enlist it into political parties. I have not said we should not enlist it. I am just saying that the way and manner that the Nigeria political landscape is presently structured and the interest of the various groups that make up Nigeria, there is no chance, no space has been created for the youth.
Okay, you mean the older generation are not creating that opportunity
Yes.
for the younger ones to come on board?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I'll come back to you, but let's look at the aspects why you are still discussing this with me. Let's look at the aspect where the whole issue of being exposed to corruption, like I did say, you've not answered that question, and the administrative inefficiency. Do you see this generational shift as being able to tackle it if the youth were ready or the younger generation was ready?
If you want to, that was why I started by giving an example just now of some countries where you have a generation of leaders preparing another generation of leaders to take over. If the present leaders are corrupt and they did not lay a foundation to deal with corruption, those that will take over will also be corrupt because they have been infested with corruption. They will come and repeat the history of the generation before them. It's just like a child that grew up to meet the father. Maybe the father is a bicycle repairer and the mother is a rustic come by the roadside, and they say go to school. The child will not go to school. Then that child is preparing to carry the poverty of the parents from the parent generation to his or her own generation. Before you know what's happening, the child is a girl. You see that the child is impregnated by a neighbor's child who is also doing the same business or a similar menial business with the parents of the one that is impregnating their child. So those people, they are prepared to carry poverty from their parents to the next generation. In the same way, we are talking of a corrupt society. Nigeria is a corruption-leading society. What Professor Patrick Igbenogbiah in his inaugural lecture referred to as a criminogenic society.
Okay.
A society that thrives, that grows, that is happy about corruption, encourages corruption, promotes those who are corrupt. That is the kind of society that we find ourselves. And when you see your people, you want to hand over power to them as a generation of leaders, and you did not purge the senior leaders who are leaving the stage, you did not purge them of corruption. They have been infested with corruption. they will carry on corruption from their senior.
Okay, thank you. Comrade, looking at what he just analyzed, isn't it worrisome that the younger generation actually is not prepared to wield this change?
Well, if you say, is it not worrisome, it means you are concluding. In any society where people are given the opportunity to act, in the first instance, you make mistakes. From your mistakes, you make amends. But the situation where you say, you assume that this is the position, and then you don't even give them the opportunity to express themselves, it becomes a situation where the whole thing becomes retrogressive. When the present crop of leaders who have been there since 1960 till now, when they entered, they were very young. That does not mean they didn't make mistakes. After all, their mistakes led the country into a civil war. They learned from their mistakes, and we saw a bit of improvement.
Okay, but can we afford to continue these mistakes? Because
no,
it says the younger generation would have to learn.
When I say
go through the school.
When I say learn from mistakes,
okay,
I'm not saying they'll make mistakes, but I'm saying the worst scenario. In the worst scenario, is that they might make mistakes, but you should allow them. Unfortunately, like my senior brother just said here, every structure has been put to ground to recycle themselves. It's not even in Nigeria, it's in Africa. I was reading a newspaper when I saw Paul Biya of Cameroon. When I was in year 1 in University of Calabar, Paul Biya was the president of Cameroon. I've been practicing for how many years now? He's still the president. So what do you have? The question you ask yourself, all this while you are there, what has been the state of the nation? I sit down to watch. As a young man, I discovered that we were watching this big television sets, big box. But these days, you have flat screen you hang on the wall, which means that the younger generation of this civilized society are even doing better than the older ones. Unfortunately, everything is nipped, tenaciously grabbed by the older generation here. To contest election and win the election, a whole lot is required. You need money. Who has the money? The older generation.
I was getting there because if you look at what we have here, the money bags really belong to the older generation, and money spins the world of politics. So isn't that a hindrance already?
Yes, it's a hindrance. But the younger ones must learn to grab the bull by the horn. If a younger person now is, you see him as somebody who can actually win the election, he has the crowd behind him. You know what they do? The next thing you discover that either police or DSS, they're after him, one thing or the other, he's kept behind after election. I don't want to cite instances. So, by the same older generation, because already they are there, they control all the means, they control the finance, they control the security, they control everything. So it is bad. Like as we speak now, the other time I was here, somebody asked a question, saying, if you say the present president, Muhammadu Buhari, is not meeting up to his expectations, who do you think can replace him? So I laughed because the question was highly laughable. You remember when late Abacha, when they were doing the one-hand man, who the catfish and all that, a man here, a singer, who later called himself a pastor, said if Abacha does not become the president, he was going to commit suicide. And Korneluma said something. He said, if people say Abacha is the only person that can rule this country, then if Abacha dies, they should rest assured that nobody will rule country in Nigeria. Nigeria will go into extinction. To his words, Abacha died, and Nigeria is even better for it. So the older generation should allow the younger ones to rule. The younger ones should also be ready to grab it by force. Because if they want to say you want to go through finance, they have hijacked the aspect of it already. You want to say you want to so it's just, I don't know, it's God's grace, but you should be ready to grab the.
You said it's God's grace. Okay, going by that, Parker, let's look at the maturation level of the younger generation. You agree with me that is low?
Yeah, to some extent.
Okay, so in that, being that it is low for now, the political experience and all that, do you see the younger generation ready?
Yeah, I think low in the sense, most of them, they have been bastardized by this crop of politicians that are there. If you watch the scenario in any election,
So they've been kept in that level?
yes,
By
they-
the older generation?
perpetually. What we need now is to break the rules from there. We just have to break loose. But the question is, are we ready to break loose? Now,
In the aspect of even feeding candidates in political parties,
yes,
how ready are we?
we are ready, that's what I'm saying. But the thing is this, they have succeeded in perpetually putting us where we cannot shake ourselves. But are we going to remain there because somebody says sit down there? For instance, in governorship election now, they will put the tickets at 9 million, 8 million, 10 million sometimes. A youth that is not doing dubious business, where do you think you have the money? They will still cry back to this money back. So he who paid the piper detail the tune. So what we are saying is that if they cry back to these people, give money to take this from, that is somebody is sorry. When you come to power, what do? You still, bow to them. What I'm even saying is this: the youth have to stand up and say, enough is enough. Enough is enough. We are not. Why I said we are not ready. We are partially not ready. Is this election time? Who all these money bags, all these old crop of politicians? Who do they use? Is it not the youth? They call them, they give them peanut, they carry cutlass and begin to kill themselves. Have you seen an Abacha child kill or giving a gun to go and kill somebody during the election? No. Will you see Obasanjo's son in the field that day? No. Just look at them. Their children are not here. They are schooling in the best schools all over the world. It is the same youth, the same youth that are used to perpetrate.
That are available.
Of course, we are available. We are put there so that we are ready tools for them. They come, they pick you, they give you money, you do what they are bidding, they come to power, they neglect you.
But can the youths make a change from that? Because that was why I was asking the maturation level of the youths or the younger generation, so to speak. How ready are they? Because if they want a new change, the younger generation wants a new change, they can take a U-turn from that aspect.
They can.
So how do they find that out?
That is, if there is collaboration among the youths, that is what we are saying every day. Everywhere I go, that is what I tell them. The youth have to come and begin to look at the future. The youth are not supposed to be thinking like the normal politicians who are looking forward to the next election. We have to begin to think like statesmen that we are supposed to be. The statesman will look at the next generation. But are we really looking at the next generation? No, we are looking at the next election like the politicians. So what we are saying now is, let the youth, starting from this election that is coming, let the youth say, enough is enough. Don't give me 1 million naira again. Don't buy me a car. Don't buy me a gun. We want to pick somebody. Then we rally around that person, that youth. We rally around the youth. Let's see what's going to happen. If they want to rig the election, let everybody come and shoot us. I remember when we chased out this man, former dictator, Babangida. I was a Benin by then. Everybody came out and mass and said, the man said, systematically say, step aside. Can't you come out in that velocity and say, enough is enough? We are no longer carrying guns.
Okay, thank you. Neville Obakedo, you are a political scientist, and looking at the Nigerian polity, for instance, you just mentioned here that the younger generation seems not to be ready. But what order should be set by the present leadership? Or what order should the younger generation follow or imbibe to ensure that this change comes?
First and foremost, from what we learned in political philosophy as students of history, your oppressor knows that he's oppressing you, but he cannot set you free from oppression unless you muster the courage to tell him that, you, Mr. Man, you are an oppressor, you are oppressing me, I want this oppression to stop. That is when the oppressor will now start granting, we will call you for discussion, he will now start granting you some little release. Okay, palliative, let us settle, we cannot just rock the boat now, take this and let me have this.
Okay, but how do we make that forum?
Yes, that's what I'm coming to now. A class that, because our society is divided into classes, a class that want to take over from another class, we have to go and do its own work. How do you do your own work? There's what we call class consciousness. You will have to go and conscientize the members of your class. You youth, the youth class with productive energy and power, those that will be there when it comes to the entertainment industry on election day, violence, you that go into crime. Let us bring this energy together now to tell these people who are there, who have been presiding over the affairs of this country, and the country, instead of attaining accelerated level of development, so that we can be like Malaysia.
Okay, but who's going to lead that?
Who is going to lead that? There are people who can lead. Can't I lead that? We know ourselves in society. We know those who are bold and courageous. We know those who are ready to sacrifice for the society to be better. We know ourselves.
Okay, so but for you to lead that, you must first agree that it's a positive way to make such changes. Do you agree?
When I say a class I want to take over from another class, the class has to embark on what we call class consciousness. We have to conscientize the people within your age range or your class jurisdiction, so that when you now call them, when you say, come, youth of Nigeria, we want to now say today is going to be Uhuru for Nigeria, then you see that they will come. If you do not do your own work by conscientizing them, by trying to build a consciousness in their heart for them to know that these oppressors must live so that we have a better society, you will fail when you take when you make any move. That is why today you will see student union government will be divided. We have two factions of student union government. You have two factions of NANS, because they are not conscientized to the extent to know that students are supposed to have one goal. The goal is, number one, their welfare. Number two, the welfare of the general society. But because some of them have been infested with corruption, government can easily call them and say, since that group is not towing our line, let us divide the union. You will be for us, that one will be against. So if this one issue a statement, if they take any move, you counter the move. And that's what we also see in politics. Youth that their relatives or people from their community may have been killed as a result of insecurity. You will be surprised when you see them come out on television. Not coming out on television to marshal their point in form of maybe a press conference, just marshalling their point to say, oh, look at what social representatives have done. We are not happy. We are giving him ultimatum to do this or do that. They can go to themselves, go to the airport to be waiting for a representative of the people to harass him. That is psychological violence and physical assault. These are youth that will say they are the future of tomorrow.
Okay, we are setting the order in a way that this change could be realized. Looking at what we have on the way forward, Cosmos Irabor, what other ways can be used to bring about this move and seeing the light of the day?
There are various ways, but first of all, let's talk about the problems we have, because you must know the problem before you talk of the solution. Like my brother rightly said, the most important tool that the older generation they are using is finance. If they strangulate you financially, you won't be able to do anything. Like you have so many of this, you have the National Youth Congress and all those things you have today. But you ask yourself, how effective are these bodies? What happens is, if they know, I'm talking about politicians now, that there's going to be so much meeting and the meeting is going to gather so much, the meeting is gathering momentum and something good is going to come out from it, what do you think they do? That same day, I'm talking to you as a politician, they want to organize another conference somewhere and tell them when you come for this conference, each person is going home with 100,000. Nobody will attend the other one.
Okay, what about in the angle of legislations? Like looking at what has been on over the bill of even reducing the requirement, the age requirement to run for public offices like the office of the president from age 40 to 35. If all these legislations see the light of the day and is being implemented, made a law, don't you see that as another way out?
The only legislation that you will tell me that I will say could help is when you will say once you are above 50, you cannot contest. Even if you say you can contest at the age of age 1, will you have the resources to contest? Look, when I was...
Well, you can't put a ceiling on that because that's going to take a long time for you to actualize.
The what?
Putting a ceiling on
That's
once you
what
are
I'm
over 50,
trying to
you
tell
can't
you. That's
contest.
what I'm trying to tell you. I'm saying what I'm trying to tell you is that
Universally,
even if you put it age 1, even if legislature comes in and puts it at age 1,
yes,
will the youth still have the ability to contest? That's what I'm saying. Because you see, they have laid down structures that they circulate themselves as is circulating elitism. Even Karman said it.
yes, but breaking the ranks is what I'm talking about.
That's what I'm
How
telling
can
you.
you see the light of the day?
You see,
Take for instance in political parties where if candidates are allowed to come up within this age requirement and all political parties feed in these candidates within this age bracket, don't you think that would be the way out? Or how do we start a process?
that's what I'm telling you, that it will be very difficult. That, you know, when you asked me the question, I said, before I answer the question, let me first of all analyze the problems. You know the problems first. And I started by telling you that it has to do with finance. If you're able to tackle the issue of finance, if there's a legislation that so amount is the limit you can spend, not the one you have now, very little amount. For instance, you want to pick a ticket for a political party,
A form,
the
for instance. Yes.
it should not be more than 10,000 naira.
Okay.
Because you are going there,
It should be free.
because you are going there to represent the people. Why must you be taxed for it? So that's step one. But by that, you are reducing the financial, handcuffs
Yes.
on the youth. The leaders, the old generation, they have all the finance. Like I was saying, when I was, I sort of incidentally, I became the first president for Edo State Students Association, University of Calabar. We discovered at the program that they were paying bursary. They paid to Polytechnic of Calabar. They did not pay to University of Calabar. I won't consider that. If you can pay to Polytechnic, university should be first. And then we went and mobilized students. We went and picked a Edo-Line bus. And we kept it in our campus. We say, when you discuss, we release your bus. Instead of discussing on how to increase, give us bursary, they were calling me for negotiation. And I said, no. So, but there are some people that will even tell you, give me money, I will release this bus. So if the issue of, like my brother is saying, quotientization, you quotientize the youth, that don't mortgage your future. Because the youth have been financially strangulated. Quotientize it, don't mortgage. That will not cause so much problem, in as much as with what is happening today in this regime. The moment you come out to say something, they discover will not favor them. They will tell me something else, get you arrested and all that. Or send the same youths to attack you. Karman said it. He said, if the middle class, which of course the working, the labor force, which you can say the youth, wants to fight the bourgeoisies, those who are there, the old generation that are there now, that they should first of all check the peasants, who are also youths, who are also suffering the burn. They should first of all check those ones, because the bourgeoisies are still going to use the peasants to attack them.
Okay.
So it's brought down to issue first quotientization. Proper quotientization. If you can quotientize them well, tell them, look, you are selling your future. What you need to do now is forget about what you are going to get now. Think of how you can put in yourselves that are rightly channeled, and things will change.
Okay, so
like we are saying now, we do expect, sir. Like we are saying now, there are some groups in diaspora, which is the positivity I'm seeing in government. There are some youths in diaspora who have gathered themselves, and they said, we have been sending money all this way to sponsor some of you. You are not doing anything positive. Right now, we are coming ourselves to govern,
to take the bull by the horn.
take the bull by the horn. And they are youths. They have the finance. You know that even to register a party, because they don't want to go to any party that is adulterated. To register a party, the government refused to register them. It took only the grace of God to register this, party. And I want to believe that something will happen.
Well, just as we don't know what party you're talking about, but by the time it comes to the glare of the media, we're going to see that. We hope that change is coming gradually. Well, Parker, let's look at the way forward. Your part in short, because it seems to us that it's not going to be happening in the nearest future, like in the 2019 general election. So what's your part in short in ensuring that the younger generation sees the light of the day in governance?
My message to the youths, let them begin to hold accountable the people they sent to represent them. We are lacking in that regard. You send a senator to Federal House of Assembly, National House of Assembly, you send to House of Rep, they come back, they give you peanuts. We don't hold them accountable. We don't tell them, this is what we want you to say there. If they go there, mess up, when they come back, what we do, we go there, they share canned cook, canned beer for people. There's some cooked rice. You eat, they give you 2,000, you go. We're supposed to be holding them accountable. By the time you stress them in the constituency, when they get there, they will know how to represent you very well. Okay. And we should stop all this mind of, since they put us here, let us sit down here. We have to stand up and say, no, this madness will stop. We have to. If you don't blow your trumpet, nobody will blow it for you. This crop of old politicians, they don't want the youth to grow. We should know that they don't want us to grow. If you continue to dance to their tune, we will remain where we are.
Well, we just hope that even as that comes up on board and the younger generation takes it up, as they get older, they should also give the room for others to come on board. Because just as you speak now, if you are given the opportunity to lead in that capacity, what makes you think you may not want to stay on that leadership without giving chance for the younger generation?
Like the older generation now?
Yes.
No. There is a paradigm change already.
Okay.
People are coming up. Okay. People are coming up now aggressively, and they know what these people are doing that is not right.
Okay.
So they want to have a paradigm change from that level to another level, where things will be standardized.
Thank you very much, Parker Odegwa. I thank you for coming. Many thanks, Cosmos Irabor. I want to believe that those were your parting shots.
No, really.
Okay.
The youth should know that it is a high time things change. Other societies, the youths are taking over, they are doing well. Look at France. The president is a young man and he's doing well. When a man begins to grow old, a whole lot of things begin to deteriorate. Okay. Even their mentality and all that. So when we see old men misbehaving, it has to do, it is natural, it is normal. But the youths are bolder, they are brighter and all. They know that they will do better.
They are not lazy.
They are not lazy, like
they are. Most of them are educated.
Educated and all that. So they should know that it is their right. They should get themselves well conscientized, prepare themselves, get resources for themselves, grab the power, and push Nigeria forward.
Grab the power legitimately.
Grab the power.
Many thanks, Parker Odegwa, for coming.
Thank you very much.
Cosmos Irabor, I enjoy your thoughts on this show.